morning, my name is Mariana Tosta, and today I'll be analyzing the question, how are the limitations of students' rights an illustration of the First Amendment in U.S. public schools? It can be concluded that the limitations of students' rights in public schools do illustrate the First Amendment by allowing students to express their rights on school grounds as long as it is not considered to be disruptive or infringing the rights of others. In order to understand this issue, we must first look at the First Amendment. As a part of the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment includes rights that everybody in the United States has that are inalienable rights, such as freedom of speech, religion, press, petition, and assembly. These rights cannot be taken away, but they can be limited through time, place, and manner restrictions. Time, place, and manner restrictions are restrictions that are based on when, where, and how somebody is expressing themselves. For example, the government has the right to restrict someone trying to protest in the middle of Times Square at certain times of the day, such as rush hour, because the main purpose of this place is not for expression. And the need of a driver to commute to and from work is more important than somebody's need to protest in the middle of the street and to stop traffic. Another example of this is the use of offensive speech such as pro-Nazi propaganda. This can be restricted because this infringes the rights of others in public forums, and it could incite a reasonable person to initiate violent acts. The use of time, place, and manner restrictions as seen in relation to public schools can be seen in court cases such as Tinker versus Des Moines. Students John and Mary Beth Tinker were suspended from school when they wore black armbands in support of a truce in the Vietnam War. The Tinkers sued the school for violating their First Amendment rights of protest and free speech, and they won on a 7-2 majority vote. The court ruled that the manner in which the students protested was not disruptive, and it would not interfere with the operation of the school. In the case Hazelwood versus Kohlmeyer, students responsible for the school's newspaper, The Spectrum, wanted to publish an article about pregnancy and an article about divorce. But the school's principal thought that this was inappropriate and therefore stopped the publishing of these articles. The students took this to court because they thought that this violated their rights to free press. But the court voted in favor of the school on a 5-3 majority vote. The court ruled that limiting certain forms of speech that were inappropriate, that were considered inappropriate, and that could cause a major disruptance at the school did not infringe a student's First Amendment rights. In the case of Harper versus Poway, student Tyler Harper wore a homophobic shirt to school in protest of Poway High School's Gay-Straight Alliance. The shirt, which said, "Be ashamed, our school embraced what God has condemned, and homosexuality is shameful," was seen as inappropriate by the school principal, and they ordered for Harper to not wear the shirt to school ever again. Harper took this to court because he thought that this violated his rights to free speech. But the Ninth Circuit Court voted in favor of the school, saying that the school's decision was constitutional because the manner in which Harper expressed himself infringed the rights of others and caused major disturbances at the school. These cases show that students do keep their First Amendment rights in school, but also show that they can be limited based on how, where, and why they are presenting these issues. So, public schools often interpret time, place, and manner restrictions in their code of conduct. A school's code of conduct serves as a guideline for students to know the extent of their rights and the consequences they may face by abusing these rights. This can be seen in OCPS's code of conduct, which states that schools may also have the authority to discipline students when a student's conduct has a detrimental effect on the health, safety, or welfare of the student, or of other students of the school, or of school personnel. These types of restrictions can be seen in public schools all throughout America. For example, here is Orange County School District's Code of Conduct in California, which states that students can exercise their constitutionally protected rights of free speech and assembly on their own campus, so long as they do not interfere with the operation of the regular school program. This is a direct representation of how time, place, and manner restrictions are used in schools in order to protect the safety of the school and of the students. With all of this in mind, we can conclude that the limitation of students' rights in public schools do illustrate the First Amendment. And in order to express themselves freely in schools, students should be aware of time, place, and manner restrictions and of the code of conduct. And they should make sure to follow both in order to be free of any unnecessary consequences. What questions do you have? Thank you.
Thank you. 2 questions for you. First up, what information did you need before you began research, and how did that information shape your research?
Before I began my research, I needed information about time, place, and manner restrictions, because I would have not been able to construct this entire presentation without it. I needed to know how they were able to limit students' rights and how I could apply them to this presentation.
Okay, next question. What additional questions emerged from your research, and why are those questions important?
Well, I wondered how exactly fair were these restrictions. For example, in an article that I read by Joe LeConte about limiting religion rights in public schools, I saw that some individuals thought that schools had too much power to limit how students practice their religion. For example, there was this example of a California school who didn't allow a student to read their Bible on the bus. So I was wondering how fair these restrictions were to students.
Perfect, thank you.